From the sleek and modern to the gargantuan and godlike, Iron Man's suits come in all shapes and sizes, but some stand above the rest as the most powerful and awe-inspiring of them all. I'm AJ Spatola with Top 10 Nerd, and today I'm breaking down the top 10 most powerful Iron Man suits of all time. So for as much as I wanted to include pieces of armor like my all-time favorite Fin Fang Foom Buster or the equally badass Phoenix Buster, unfortunately they failed to accomplish the very task their names entailed, so I think it's safe to say that these suits, however awesome they may be, just don't have the caliber required to make the cut for this particular list. At number 10, we have the Sapien Deathmatch Armor. Not only does this suit have an absolutely badass name, but it's even got the design to match, looking more like a mech from manga or anime than anything else. The suit made its debut during the House of M storyline, where a war between humans and mutants occurs after Scarlet Witch does some reality rewriting. In this reality, Stark Industries was contracted to create the Sentinels, but thanks to Howard Stark, those very same Sentinels end up fighting against Tony, not alongside him. So in retaliation, Tony builds himself this epic suit of armor in secret. The suit's most prominent feature was this extendable hand cannon, though it boasts countless other weapons, from unibeams to heat-seeking missiles to tasers to flamethrowers, and of course, what Iron Man's suit would be complete without the obligatory repulsor beam. But the suit's wackiest feature has got to be those massive wings, with a design that looks to be inspired by my air conditioner. But before I start breaking down the real powerful suits of armor, if you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. Now that mandatory plea for engagement is over, let's talk number 9, Anti-Transformer Armor. Forget DC, I want to see some Marvel v Transformer action on the big screen, baby. But until that fateful day comes, we're just gonna have to be content with the Avengers Transformers comic book saga from back in 07. See, Tony is a fan of making tailored suits of armors to serve as contingency plans, like in the case of the Hulkbuster, for example. So you already know that when Tony heard of rumors of giant alien robots hiding amongst the citizens of Earth, he just had to go and whip up a brand new suit of armor specifically designed to combat the new threat, mano a mano. However, considering the sheer scale of the project, Stark ended up needing a lot more time to build the thing than he got, forcing him to put the suit into action despite utilizing a battery pack which severely undersupplied the suit's vast energy demands, leading to power management issues which would lead this energy-intensive behemoth of a suit to run out of juice quite quickly. Tony tried to circumvent this problem on the fly with the help of Optimus Prime by routing the battery to an external power supply, but doing so presented an equal and opposite problem, as fueling the suit in this way caused it to be prone to overloading the battery. At number 8 is the Extrembiote Armor, because if you're looking for something cooler than a symbiote like Venom, look no further than this cyborg symbiote, my friend. You see, this suit was originally one of many symbiote dragons, yes, you heard me right, dragons, but Tony got a hold of it and was able to reverse engineer the symbiote technology using a techno-organic extremis virus, rewriting the symbiote's DNA and severing its connection to the whole hive mind, giving Tony full control of the symbiote. Well, as much control as one could have over a symbiote. And speaking of which, here's a nice little fun fact. Symbiotes aren't aliens. Well, I mean, they are, as in they come from another planet, but they aren't naturally occurring creatures produced by nature. Instead, they're a synthetic life form created by this alien dude named Null. The more you know. Anyway, tangent over, back to the armor. Now, even though this new symbiote-infused suit was a vast upgrade over the standalone Model 70, Tony would soon lose control over it after Carnage called out to Tony's symbiote from within the hive mind, forcing the suit to constrict with Tony inside, crushing Tony and snapping a few limbs and ribs in the process. Ouch. Now let's talk capabilities. The Extrembiote is a unique mix of synthetic alien life and Stark's latest tech, which means it's got all kinds of cool tricks up its sleeve? Like, for example, the symbiote's ability to manipulate its form and project tendrils or increase its body mass considerably. Or how about the upgraded repulsor beam, now equipped to blast the corruption right off of Null's victims? He's also used the Extrembiote as what I can only describe as a celestial dongle so that he can take control of an even more powerful celestial body, which we're about to break down in the next entry. But by far the coolest ability is the fact that this suit allows Tony to fly around in style as the thing can morph into a freaking symbiote dragon. Yes, you heard me right, Iron Man riding dragons. Guys, we're only on number 8 here. At number 7, the Celestial Armor. Well, what do we have here? Is that a Celestial or Iron Man? The answer is a resounding yes. So believe it or not, this hijacked celestial body is actually supposed to be a Hulkbuster model, because when you're dealing with the strongest being on Earth, you can't be too cautious. As a Hulkbuster, the Celestial has been retrofitted with technology designed to drain the gamma radiation out of the Hulk so that he can be safely apprehended. Though, unfortunately, things don't go quite as planned, because the Hulk is actually able to replenish his gamma rays self-sufficiently. Now, maybe the Iron Man still would have been able to beat the Hulk, but we'll never truly know since the armor was accidentally struck by Thor's hammer, as he's been unable to completely control it on account of the fact that Odin's soul is trapped inside of it. Now, even despite getting a blow from Mjolnir and being put into critical condition, the armor was still able to battle for a few more pages on account of its ability to repair and heal itself autonomously, a feature which every Iron Man suit and iPhone should have. It even sucked back a direct hit from the Hulk's rage-induced eye lasers. That's a new one. But ultimately, the suit was destroyed after a pinned-down Hulk released a nuclear blast of radiation big enough to be seen from space, and it still protected Tony from getting fried to a crisp inside. Look, I don't care if it ultimately lost the fight. The fact that it stood up for so long against the Hulk and Mjolnir simultaneously puts the suit of armor in a league of its own. At number 6, we have the Iron Destroyer. Here's a freaking awesome mashup of Iron Man's design with that of the Destroyer, the iconic enchanted suit of Asgardian armor. Iron Man's bleeding edge nanotech armor was already a huge upgrade from his previous designs, but during the War of the Serpent, which saw numerous villains sport Asgardian weapons, Odin was left with no choice but to give Tony access to the legendary Nordic Forge of Navaldir, where he utilized Uru, which is the Asgardian metal that composes Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, to give himself and his fellow Avengers some epic Asgardian upgrades. And so, after Tony and the dwarves designed some new tools for the homies, Stark got into his bleeding edge suit and lowered himself into the vat of molten Uru, and after receiving a divine blessing from Odin, the bleeding edge armor infused with the Uru, evolving it into the Iron Destroyer. Now, once the battle was over, Tony gave all that Uru back to Odin, but while he had it, the man's suit of armor was indestructible. Cause, ladies and gentlemen, unless your name is Hela, this sexy suit is basically invincible. Now, we know that one of the properties of Uru is the absorption of magic, so we can infer that the Iron Destroyer sports similar abilities, but unfortunately, we'll never know for certain because the armor didn't even get a singular battle scene, despite countless pages of hype and buildup, making this suit the second biggest missed opportunity in Iron Man's history. That's right, second. And here's the first. At number 5, the Galactus Buster. No entry on this list makes me geek out as much as this one does, because for those of you who don't know, and I'm assuming that's most of you, because the only way you would have ever seen this panel of art is if you had used Iron Man to defeat Galactus and unlocked his ending in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's a video game for all you boomers out there. That single sarcastic comment is gonna earn me leagues of hate. I can already feel it. Wow, I've been playing Marvel vs. Capcom games since before you were born. Yeah, okay, save it, Gramps. So like I was saying, the only trace of this suit's existence would have come in those 2 panels that conclude Tony's ending in the game, as well as a few lines of monologue where Stark explains that while he did defeat Galactus, he only barely managed to do so, and so using data collected during his fight, he fashioned himself the Galactus Buster armor to ensure that he would be better prepared in case the Cosmic Planet Eater ever came back for seconds. Now, the only other time we get to see a Galactus Iron Man combo like this is in the unused cover art, which was teased for the Armor Wars saga. And while the Galactus Buster's appearance in this series would have been monumental, both figuratively and literally, we sadly happened to inhabit the reality in which that's all we were given. And it's a shame too, because this particular character mashup is a cosmically sized missed opportunity. At number 4, the Godkiller Armor. At number 4, the Godkiller Armor. If we weren't already in S tier, we definitely are now. After discovering the remains of a Celestial locked away inside of a Dyson sphere out there in the cosmos, some Regelia recorder decided that the armor would best be used as essentially a nuclear deterrent to bring about world peace to the universe, because you know, the only way to achieve world peace is obviously through bigger, more destructive weapons. Dunce. Anyways, this recorder needed a perfect pilot, and to that end, he selected Howard Stark and genetically engineered his unborn son in order to conceive of a suitable pilot for the celestial body. But even after turning Tony into a GMO, along with countless other unspeakable atrocities, in the end Tony was unable to control the armor, and so all that effort was in vain. Realizing this, the recorder transported the armor to an empty dimension where it could never fall into the wrong hands. That is until Tony took what he learned and made a version of his own, because of course he did! He keeps his absolute megalith of a Mark II in standby orbiting around Mars, and just to add a little extra flex on Elon, the suit can be summoned to Earth in a matter of minutes without exploding. A feat that can only be possible if the thing was traveling at or close to the speed of freaking light. Now this is able to be accomplished by the fact that this bad boy is powered by not 1, not 2, but 8 nuclear reactors. Now although this suit is ultimately defeated, it took an entire celestial horde to do it, but just the fact that this giant hunk of metal can even stand up against a single dark celestial goes vastly beyond the realm of impressive. At number 3, Godbuster. Now before I get into this one, the comics can't decide whether to call this one the Godbuster or Godkiller, but Tony himself introduces it as the Godbuster, so that's what I'll be going with to distinguish it from the last entry. The Godbuster suit of armor represents the very pinnacle of Stark's engineering genius, and has even been described as, quote, Tony Tony's masterpiece, the ultimate weapon. Now, for as epic as this ultimate weapon is, unfortunately, Tony has the suit destroyed along with all the components required for its construction almost as soon as he builds it, as Tony himself believed that the suit was simply too powerful to even be allowed to exist. Hot damn. As a matter of fact, the armor was so intricate in design that it shouldn't even be physically possible to even conceive of its design in the first place, as he was only able to do so within the confines of the virtual reality he developed called Escape. This allowed him to utilize the upper limits of his unleashed imagination from the restraints of the human brain. After coming back from the Escape, Tony used his bleeding edge 3D printers to construct the armor in real life, albeit with the limitations of his meaty monkey brain still causing the intricacies of the design to fade from his memory. But what are the features that deem this suit worthy of such hype? Well, aside from the ultra powerful unibeam and the fact that this suit seems to have gotten hidden repulsor cannons out the wazoo, we don't really get much action from the Godbuster. All we can really do is take Stark's word for it. At number 2 is Emperor Stark. Okay, this next entry is a bit of a tangent from the others, but I'm including it here because this alternate Tony was elected Emperor of the planet for life, making him quite literally the most powerful person on Earth. Meaning this entry is supremely powerful thanks to a technicality, not his armor. So if you want to cut to the most powerful Iron Man suit of all time, go ahead and skip to number 1. But as for Emperor Stark, although from the outside it may seem that this reluctant hero was given the mantle with a heavy and humble heart, in reality it was Tony's plan all along to assume dominance as the undisputed monarch of Earth, as he engineered the very threats that forced the world to yield their power over to him. Firstly, he secretly orchestrated the Mutant War simply in an attempt to thin out the world's superhuman population, with Captain America and Mr. Fantastic among the defeated. So after betraying his race and secretly helping the mutants win the war for the promise of co-dominating the planet, he then went and betrayed Magneto, making this double-crossing double-crosser the hero of the conflict. But according to Tony, soldiers don't make for good leaders, so his ascension to power truly began during the Great Famine, when a powerful virus, which was secretly developed by Stark Industries, not unlike the mad cow disease, left most animals unfit for human consumption. And within a year of the outbreak, a new strain of fungal rot, also secretly developed by Stark, devastated half the world's wheat population and millions of lives were lost to famine, until Tony came out later with vaccines and countermeasures that would earn him a Nobel Prize and eventually lead to his presidential candidacy after winning the election by a landslide. And once he developed a tech to control weather and seismic activity to cause natural disasters of biblical proportions while simultaneously pulling some strings to cause economic collapse, he got the other nations of the world to yield their power over to him voluntarily. In the end, all he had to do was stage a battle with Dr. Doom, which completely leveled Washington DC, wiping from the face of the earth nearly every federally elected representative, the entire Supreme Court, and along with them, America's democratic system, making evil Tony over here one of the most formidable beings to ever dominate the world. Oh, and I guess his suit ain't too shabby either, although there's nothing that sets it apart from the other Iron Man suits besides the cape. At number 1, we have Iron God. Just when you thought his suits couldn't get any more absurdly powerful, boom. Iron God. This stupendously powerful suit of armor is a divine makeover of Model 70 after Stark and Korvac were bestowed with the unthinkable godlike abilities thanks to the power cosmic, the essence of the cosmos itself. Then the two unleash those powers upon each other in the most epic space battle of cosmic proportions, crashing into moons and using entire planets as launching pads, and naturally causing collateral chaos on an interplanetary and even interdimensional scale that gets so out of hand that the Living Tribunal themselves have to step in to help end the fight, bringing along with them some extra equally powerful cosmic beings for good measure. After apprehending Korvac, the Tribunal decides to let Stark retain his divinity, and so Stark goes back to Earth, now capable of transforming the world as he sees fit. His first gift to Earth as Iron God was to bestow everyone in the city with his genius level intelligence, to the dismay of Reed Richards, who says he actually feels a bit dumber. He turns haters into yes men with a snap of his fingers, turns Silver Surfer into a silver puddle, and, well, on that note, pretty much one-shot every single hero who disagreed with him. It wasn't until he one-punched Rhodey so hard his head turned all the way around that he realized his power had gotten to his head. So he revives everybody and apologizes profusely, eventually giving up the power cosmic. Biggest reason why narcissists shouldn't be gods, but while he was one, if you want to look for OP, then look no further. The only limits of Iron God's powers are his imagination, which makes this suit of armor the most powerful Iron Man suit of all time, hands down. Now, I have so many honorable mentions that sadly couldn't make the cut for this list, and I'm sure you've got a list of your own all thought up. So if there's an Iron Man suit that you think deserves a spot on the next iteration of this list, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Alternatively, if you think that about sums it up, let me know as well. But either way, make sure you show this video and this channel some love. This has been AJ Spatola with Top 10 Nerd, and I'll catch you in another video. Peace out, nerds.